Hi traders, welcome to this currency strength and weakness video with me, John, senior market analyst here at Blueberry Markets. I'm going to take you through some interesting charts that I'm looking at for this trading week. Obviously, very interesting trading week coming up. US CPI data out later this week, but some charts of interest. So what I'm looking at here from a currency strength and weakness point of view is looking at how the markets have changed over a weekly period, and then basically looking to see if that strength and weakness is likely to continue or not. So we're seeing a lot of upside to the likes of the euro at the moment and the Swiss franc. Seeing a lot of downside to sort of commodity currencies. So Australian dollar and New Zealand were the worst performing currencies of last week. So I'm looking to see if I can try and take advantage of that in any way, shape or form against currencies that are getting stronger. So the likes of the US dollar, for instance. Then what I try and do then is use my currency heat map to identify momentum on those markets and whether they line up with conditions that I feel are valid enough to look for trading opportunities on. So the green light is basically good to go for looking at trading opportunities for the week ahead. Whether they set up or not is a different question, but I like the idea of looking at things like Euro Oz this week. The Australian dollar, obviously being a weaker currency at the moment, is something I want to try and take advantage of. So here is Euro Oz. Now this market is this chart here on the left hand side is the weekly chart. Then you've got the daily chart in the top right hand corner, and then in the bottom right hand corner we've got the 4-hour time frame. And the reason why I do that is because predominantly I want to trade the weekly chart, right? The reason why I want to trade the weekly chart is because that's where the sort of big institutions are doing most of their analysis, and if you ignore sort of the algo side of it anyway. But when I look at things like commitment to trader reports, which I heavily use within my sort of trading, they are based off of weekly charts because they're released every week. So I like to look at what's going on a weekly chart and then to look at how momentum can take us into the next trading week. So looking at Euro Oz, we can see that obviously last week was a very strong bullish candlestick, and the candle closed quite aggressively at its highs. That to me shows that there is a big momentum to the upside here on Euro Aussie at the moment. And what I also like to look for, where those turning points have been in the past, and then I like to try and identify where price could go again. So you can see sort of 168 and above, the market kind of formed this really large wick. Now I have narrowed that down ever so slightly here on the daily chart, so I narrowed it to within this wick in here, but essentially what I'm kind of looking at here is, can this momentum continue on the weekly chart in line with currency strength and weakness? So if I look at what's going on here on the daily chart, we can see that the market was making those lower lows, lower high patterns. We then came into an area of demand, and then the market rallied to the upside. It breached through a level of resistance, be it these previous swing highs and also the trend line resistance. So if I'm looking at sort of momentum here, then I'm looking at how the market is almost sort of moving in a sort of pattern, and I can see that the market is obviously forming sort of bullish momentum here by taking out levels of resistance. We're also above the 50 moving average here, which I think is a good sign if you are a buyer of a market. And then if we come and look at the 4-hour time frame, basically the 4-hour gives us our sort of detail of what's going on, lets us kind of narrow in a little bit on those areas of structure. And you can see the market change structure here. We had higher highs and higher lows. We had one of those nice triangle patterns, and then the market broke out to the upside. So whenever I look at these type of moves that's going on in the market, I say to myself, number one, is there room to the upside here for the market? And yes, there is. The market could come up towards this kind of 168, these opens and closes, or even up towards sort of the 1.7 zone in here on the daily chart. So what I'm looking at is, will this momentum now continue on a 4-hour time frame? Because I think this is a good sort of medium term trend to have a little look at. So essentially, where would I want to be a buyer? And I want to be a buyer back where the kind of momentum started to kick off in the first place. So I've marked the 1.6517 handle because it's these highs here on the 4-hour chart, but it's also last week's high. So I'm looking to maybe use that as a bit of an area for a momentum move. So what I typically like to do then is just kind of mark it up with a zone, and then what I'd do is I'd put a alert on this point. So essentially, what am I waiting for? I'm waiting for price to come into this level of support, and then I'm looking for reaction. So I'm looking for either a very positive reaction from here, or you can then narrow it down on lower time frames. So if you go into like the 30-minute time frame, do you get the double bottom pattern? Do you get inverse head and shoulders pattern? Something like that, just to show me that momentum is changing, is what I'm going to look for here on Euro Aussie. So keep in mind, I like the idea of looking at Euro Aus going into this trading week. We can see that the momentum on the weekly is bullish. We're above the 50 moving average. Stochastic momentum on the daily chart is also positive. So I'm looking to see, can we continue this positiveness here in Euro Aussie and look for some further upside. Thanks for watching this video update. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new, and I'll speak to you very soon.